Hey friends, Maloa here. Today I'm going to walk you through the strategy of Naruhel the Red Maid, which is the instance that is currently available for Spring Festival. It drops some really nice loot that we'll look at the end of the presentation, but I wanted to give you a solid structure on how to tackle this boss. It is a very quick fight, and so it's a 6-man, and so let's get going. Naruhel, Tier 1 does a couple of things. First one is the water cyclone. This is a yellow bar induction that can be interrupted. It does a knockback, and it can be dangerous because if you have a lot of puddles that are around you and you get that knockback, you can be knocked back into the puddles and it can kill you, the puddles. So make sure that whoever is tanking Naruhel has the ability to do a lot of the interrupts on her. The next thing is she will be putting a purple eye over your head, and she will just randomly select a player for the purple eye. When you get the purple eye, you will drop 3 wound puddles, and they'll happen in short succession, only a couple of seconds apart, and they do a ton of damage. Therefore, players need to be very aware of when they get the purple eye, and they will need to move out of those puddles immediately. If they stay in the puddles too long, it is a guaranteed death. Typically what we like to do in the raids that I run is if you get the purple eye, just run to the wall, drop the puddles there, and then come back in, because you kind of want to keep the center area of the arena open as much as possible to allow the tank to move around in. And then she also does the Creoth Disciples, and which I'll explain in a little bit because there's additional mechanisms there. But then she has these buffs. I only tossed up tier 2 buff here, which is 100% morale, plus 75% damage, plus 20% armor ratings, plus 20% ratings. On tier 3, it's double the amount of all of this. And then she also has this dread on her, which is your heart. She puts this dread on you, which gives you plus 4 dread. It's just there. And then the protection from slow, so she cannot be slowed in any of her movements. So that's what you need to be aware of. On tier 2, you have all of tier 1 mechanics, plus you have an additional induction. And this induction will be called The Waters Are Mine. It can and definitely should be interrupted because this is her self-heal. She can heal herself up by about 4% by sacrificing one of her adds. But if she is interrupted on tier 2 on this, she won't heal up. So that would be definitely something for the tank to watch. But you want to prioritize the water cyclone interruptions over the waters or mine interruptions, because you can always just burn her down at the end. Then tier 3 is all of tier 1 and tier 2 mechanics. And then you have to deal with a ton of more adds. And of course a lot more buffs, double the morale, 200% morale, and so forth, that you have to contend with on tier 3. So what we typically do on tier 3 is we don't worry about the boss healing herself all the way up. We just simply focus on getting the adds down, keeping the puddles to a minimum to give ourselves enough room to move. Now, the Creoth Disciples, there are 6 in total. There will be 3 on the right side and 3 on the left side. These disciples and the blood waters, they cannot be crowd controlled, which means the minute they pop, you want to burn them down as quickly as possible, because once the disciple reaches the dais, they will be sacrificed and they will turn into ritual blood waters. The ritual blood waters will drop random puddles throughout the entire arena and will cause a ton of chaos. Now, you want to focus on getting those disciples down. After some time with the ritual blood water, the Naruhel will do her induction. The waters are mine. She will sacrifice the ritual blood water, which will heal her back up and will get rid of them. The disciples, they spawn at Naruhel when you get to 80%, 60%, and 50%. So the goal is to burn down these Creoth Disciples immediately. Now, the other thing that will be summoned right after the disciples are summoned are called the unstable greater ritual blood waters. This does massive single target damage. On tier 2 on my hunters, it takes about 75% off health in one hit alone. Okay? On tier 3, it's an instant one shot. They cannot be crowd controlled. So what needs to happen is the second that they spawn, and they'll spawn kind of by the door where we come in, you want to have the tank pick them up immediately. And the reason being that the tank should be able to take that damage and be able to survive, even when the hunters or anybody else will not be able to survive it. And it's a single target damage, so no need to worry about AoEs with this mob. So the kill order, you're going to kill the Krielf disciples first because they're going to spawn the ritual blood waters. Then if you do have a ritual blood water come in, they need to be killed second, because they're the ones that drop the wound puddles throughout the entire arena and will make the fight impossible. And then third is the unstable greater ritual blood water, because they do the single target damage on the tank, and it is a ton of damage. And if you've got a good healer, they can heal through that while the DPS classes take care of the first two mobs. And then after all that, you go back to Naruhel. And you might see Naruhel healing all the way back up. And that doesn't, if she heals up back to 90, that doesn't mean you're going to get another spawn at 80%, okay? We'll get the next one at 60. So you always get it at 80, 60, and 50%. Now let's take a look at the loot. Now, the loot comparison here is for world class. I just ran this for my minstrel. You can see this is my minstrel's build. I've got the T5 Houses of Rest cloak here, and then this was the Hidden Hoard of Abnankara. And you can see comparatively, the Hidden Hoard cloak is probably going to be best. The reason being, it has a ton of vitality and it has a ton of outgoing healing. If you looked at the crit rating one, it also has way more crit rating than this. Plus you get 3 empty slots so that you can craft whatever you need to, whatever your specific tune requires. The armor is more, the vitality is more. So it's definitely going to be more beneficial to have your Hidden Hoard cloak. But in the meantime, if you don't yet have your T5 Houses of Rest cloak, then these drops from Naruhel will definitely be very, very beneficial. Now, the first cloak, the Grimbark's Legacy, you can see it has this minus 4% skill induction, which is nice, but then again, if your skill induction is only 2 seconds, 4% of that is like 0.0042, something like that. It's really, really small. So is it really all that worth scraping off that couple of milliseconds? I don't know. That's your decision. Then you've got Fighter's Ward. This one is considered to be the tank one because of the physical and tactical mitigations. But once again, these are a little bit laughable numbers, because if you get the Winter Delver's Essence box, the physical and tactical mitigation on that is way, way higher. And then if you get this cloak, you would just slot it in there, and you would have a better cloak than you would get from Spring Festival, from Naruhel. And then this cloak over here, this has the 10 plus 10% Devastate Magnitude. This is really nice for ranged classes to have this, if you're able to. It has reasonable stats for everything, and so I will probably run this until I get my Hidden Hoard of Huntsman cloak. Once again, if you look, you've got way more vitality on the Hidden Hoard one, critical rating. This one has more critical rating and finesse and so forth. So if you want an all Bolton 1 plus 2 slots, I mean, this really is nice for hunters. So I will probably stick with this until I'm able to get my complete set built out. Sorry, and this was the tank one. You can see here, tactical mitigation on this is 31, and over here it's 27. It's really, what I want to stress here is, it really also depends on what your build is right now and what your objectives are and what in terms of what type of stats you're trying to reach. So if you just have, for example, um, landscape a landscape cloak that you're running, then getting the Spring Festival cloak will be super easy and it's totally worth doing it. However, if you're way more along with the rating and you've got your 8 Houses of Rest cloak, then it's probably not going to be as big a deal to get the Naruhel cloak. But because the Hidden Horde cloak will eventually be way better than all of this. Anyways, that's it, and thanks for watching. That concludes today's adventure. Please hit the like and subscribe button to not miss an episode. Thanks for watching.